And so we launch out the front end, and I think it was a left turn, and away we go in zone 5, afterburner, scorching out to make the intercept. We get radar contact fairly quickly, and we end up converting on an Su-15 flagon. And then we did some surge, and trying to get across the Pacific without radiating. That was one of the things that I remember vividly. Was they tried to sneak a carrier group without the Soviets at the time being able to track you through satellites that used ELENT, right? So, and that's a whole nother story on one of the things that occurred. But yeah, we get over to the Sea of Japan, and I remember the day I'm sitting the Alert 5. So one of the things the carriers would do is we would enter the Bear box, it was called. So it was a Tu-95 Bear, the big 4-engine prop, counter-rotating, dual-bladed type stuff. And they had a heck of a range. They would come out and try to find the carrier group. And so we would have to have our status of the fighter squadrons ready to launch off in fairly short notice to go escort them, intercept them first far enough away from the carrier group, and then escort them, into the carrier group, wherever they were going to go, and just watch what they were doing. But now actually the ship, we're inside the Sea of Japan. So we're on the western side of Japan, and you got Vladivostok and all that other stuff going on, kind of a show of force at the time. And so I'm in the Alert 5 status. So I'm actually just behind the shuttle on the catapult, sitting reading the book or whatever, and the Rio's in the back, and we're just kind of hanging out. And then all of a sudden, I think we're listening to one of the radio frequencies, and the chatter gets a little more excited, and then we start hearing that the Soviets are launching fighters out of Vladivostok and kind of heading east, right? So, well, this is kind of exciting. And I remember it's like, okay, I think this is going to happen. And my biggest concern, in fact, I touched base with Mongo, the Rio, the other day. The biggest concern at this time was we're going to see the skipper come running out in his flight gear, or some 04, right? Who's going to bounce us out of the seat so that they can go intercept the Soviet fighters that nobody has ever seen before. So we couldn't get started fast enough. I mean, I kept looking at the guy in the yellow shirt, the directors that were kind of in charge of the flight deck or whatever, and I'm like giving him, let's go, and he's like, just a second. He's talking like to the handler, who's the guy. Are we going to launch them or not? And they finally do, and I was so happy when he gives the wipe down. They remove the chains. We're starting the aircraft. The canopy's coming down, because once that's coming down, it ain't coming back up, right? and so we go through our whole process. We get started, and in quick order. And one thing about setting the Alert 5, back then the INS and there was no GPS. It was an INS in the F-14. You slewed it to the ship's giant INS through a cable, and you tried to create a platform that was stable enough for flight. And so you would go up and get the alignment early before and you kept the alignment kind of the whole time you were in the CATS, because that took 10 minutes or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. So is it connected while you're sitting there on your Alert?
I think it was called a SINS cable. They actually had a cable that would come in and plug in, and it was just a giant wired data link that would give the lat long or whatever metrics it's looking for into its computer, into the platform.
Yeah, and people are not familiar. Probably whatever. This doesn't matter. But I mean, it does. Yeah. Even like F-16, you had a 4 minute for the IGI, embedded GPS INS, to align. Okay. And you could also do a pre-alignment and then do a stored heading, a stored alignment, which would be 30 seconds to get going. But if you don't have the alignment, and I think Bag's the story, him not having an alignment, that's one of his funny stories. But I mean, that's a big deal. You have to have an alignment, otherwise a lot of things aren't going to work the way you want to. So I mean, I didn't think about the aspect of like the ship is underway, right? So it's moving, but this is
you're constantly down feeding, that your position in space to the airplane. So and the purpose of the Alert 5 was to be off in 5 minutes, and so with engine start, everything getting going and whatever. So and that was the status we were in at the time. So we get the start signal, we get going, and they pull the cable, and we're all set. We taxi forward, just a little bit to get into the shuttle, which is the thing that will grab the aircraft, the nose link, toe link rather, and pull you for the cat shot. So, and now I think we're talking on the deck to the controller. We're getting the vector for where we're going to go, and we get the signal gate, I think it was, which means you're in full burner. As fast as you can get out there, that's your heading to go to make the intercept. And so we launch out the front end, and I think it was a left turn, and away we go in zone 5, afterburner, scorching out to make the intercept. We get radar contact fairly quickly, and we end up converting on an Su-15 flagon at the time. And I think there's a actual YouTube video of the intercept out there floating around. I think he sent you a link to that way back when. And so anyway, yeah, go out there and pull up behind an Su-15, which was just amazing at the time.
Did he have any awareness, or did their C2 have any awareness of you guys, or did he show any awareness?
That we don't know. I'm pretty sure, they were close, and at the time running the intercept, I think he starts turning back to the west. And so now the biggest thing is creating an international incident where you get so focused on running this intercept, you end up going through a buffer into, Soviet airspace, and you end up getting shot at or whatever. So that's kind of, if you listen to the comms on it, that's my biggest concern, is not to become that guy, right? And so anyway, we make the intercept, and there's no aggressive maneuvering, that kind of thing. It was cool to see this airplane with the silver and a green nose, drab green. And then there's also MiG-23s up, right? And so guys are running intercepts on those guys. And the MiG-23, they came out with their wings out. They never put them back. They were loaded probably with Apex missiles, AA-7s at the time. But again, not really aggressive maneuvering. And then, of course, as this thing occurred, we go back to the ship, we start talking about it. Rumor has it that these were senior level pilots flying out to try to get a chance to take a look at an F-14, to see what the reactions would be. It was more of a look-see, possibly from those guys, than some sort of, preconceived tactic that they were trying to develop and see whether or not the carrier group would react accordingly.